Thanks for being here for our talk on compassion. Compassion is so important. Many of us are wired how we were raised in this culture we live in, being very critical of ourselves, of others, often turning towards judgment, hatred, striving to be better than other, a lot of comparisons. And what a compassion practice really walks us back to is really understanding that we're all um, humans. We all suffer some type of way. Through that, we have this common humanity. And compassion really talks to us about, reminds us to be kind to ourselves and others, and really to be mindful about whatever it is that we're experiencing that maybe causes disturbance or um, negative feelings about whatever situation may come up. So we talk a lot about self-compassion and live well because really compassion starts with how am I treating myself? So, because many of us are some indoctrinated, maybe I would say, into taking care of others first and putting ourselves last. We talk a lot about self compassion because if we're not caring for ourselves, we aren't going to have the resources that we need to extend that same compassion to others. So, if you were here and if you want to look back at our self compassion deep dive and library on that self compassion piece, it's so important because we first have to realize our own need and tend to that so that we can be there for others. So similar to flying on the airplane, you got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can put it on the person next to you. It's like we have to take care of ourselves in order to be able to be in a place to care for others. So when we focus on self compassion a lot, this talk, we were looking to focus more on that compassion um, with not only self, but extending to others and what that looks like. So we do this at holiday season because it's so, um, you know, I was, you hear people all the time talk about the stress of holidays, right? Um, the intention, I think, behind holidays was family and friends would gather together and share open heartedly, connecting. It's a season of joy, love, peace. And it's really become, for a lot of people, more stressful, a lot to do, to decorate, to prepare for, to buy for, to cook for. Um, and so often you hear people that are just really dreading the holidays, not looking forward to any other preparation, maybe dreading some people in their life that they have strife with, that they don't see much, that they're going to have to see, that they're upset about having to be around. Um, you just really hear of a shift for a lot of people about the stress of that and the negativity that can kind of come with that. And so I think talking about compassion at this particular time of the year is about how do I extend kindness to myself, to others? How do I know through common humanity that we all experience struggle and hardship? And how do I just stay mindfully present and aware that whatever moment of struggle or discomfort I might be in will pass? Those are some of the key components of compassion. I know in Kristen Neff's self compassion book, which we have linked here in the resources, those are the three threads of that self compassion, that self kindness, that common humanity, and the mindfulness. And really practicing those three pillars towards ourselves can really help us extend that to others. We also have Tara Brock's radical compassion and some of that work. tagged in these resources because her talks on compassion are so heartfelt and so meaningful when you think about difficult circumstances that you may face. Um, she helps introduce compassion and really begins to help us understand that when things happen either inside ourselves or outside of ourselves that cause disturbance or dysregulation, we are activated into that fight, flight, shut down, argue one way or the other. And really, it creates conflict and separateness and otherness where I'm right, you're wrong. And so she really and asked us to kind of lean into seeing it through another lens to where we understand with compassion that we all have different opinions, we all have different beliefs, we all have different experiences, we all have different backgrounds, we all have different access to um, resources. So she really helps in her book, Radical Compassion, us to really begin to think about um, looking for that belongingness, I guess, through the common humanity rather than the otherness and the separateness. And how when we see ourselves as different from others, which is how many of us and how, humans have kind of been, I don't want to say trained, not finding my word I want to say, but how humans have been conditioned, that's the word I'm looking for, to see ourselves as separate and fearful of others that are different from us. It really created a great divide. And that if we're practicing compassion, we're really looking for the common thread with each other. So instead of how am I different from you, we're looking at how are we all alike. And with that, you can extend a lot more compassion because you see yourself, you see others through that lens of kindness, through that lens of love, through that lens of we all are, um, essentially trying to do the best we can with what we know and what our experiences have been to create whatever best life we think we can create for ourselves. And if you really can step back and look at situations, people, experiences with more compassion, you can have a lot less anger, a lot less to complain about. And so, really practicing compassion, it's more like a kind of a reflection, like that's interesting rather than I can't believe you believe that or think that or do that. So it's about reflecting more, understanding that we're all different and we're all the same. Um, and without, really work to kind of eliminate judgment and eliminate critical way of looking at ourselves and looking at others. So it might be difficult to think about reducing judgment, but when you really look at the mindfulness tenets, non-judgment being, I think, one of the most important, accepting, allowing, letting go, um, non-striving, beginner's curiosity. When you look at those tenets of mindfulness and living that way, it really does help to promote a state of peace in which to live from. A really good foundation to instead of walking around looking for what's not good or right or correct, or just having more presence for what is and um, just noticing. So, I mean, one of the key practices in radical compassion that Tara Brach talks about that um, I like to use for this is a rain meditation. And in the rain meditation, it really is a just a 4-letter acronym to help you be able to sit with anything disturbing, whether it be with you or with someone else, that you really walk through, being able to, the R standing for recognize, the A standing for allow, and the I investigate, and the N nurture. And it really is designed to help you be able to face any situation and be able to reflect on those things, asking yourself to just recognize or notice what it is. Maybe this person's angry with me, or maybe I'm angry at myself for how I've acted. That's going to be the recognizing what it is. So in this example, let's say that's anger. And then the A, allow, we are merely allowing space. We are accepting that anger out as it is and saying, this is what this is. So we're just making space, not shutting it down, not judging it, not trying to change it or fix it. We're just noticing it and allowing it. And then the investigation part is we begin to be curious about it. So again, using that mindfulness term of curiosity, just about, what is this anger? I'm feeling my face get red. I'm feeling my heart race. I'm seeing this other person I'm talking to's face get red or heart race or tense. It's really about investigating, what is this anger doing? Maybe it's creating conflict. Maybe it's creating separateness. And then the N is about nurturing. And so in the nurturing piece, we're really asking ourselves, what do I need in this moment because of this experience I'm having? And maybe that's to walk away. Maybe that's to listen instead of argue. Maybe that's a deep breath. As well as the nurture might be, if I'm dealing with another, what does that person need in this moment? Maybe they need space. Maybe they need silence. Maybe I need to stop what I'm saying that's creating disturbance. So it's really about, what do we need to nurture the situation so that there's some level of acceptance and understanding that can be had in that moment. So really, using that resource can really be pretty powerful. There's actually a rain meditation that will be also in the notes in the library from this that I've done before, and would also encourage you, which this will be in the resources as well, to go to Tara Brock's website, and she has a wealth of resources on this radical compassion, which is www.tara.brock.com, which her link is going to be in the notes as well. She has a really good guide, study guide for her book, Radical Compassion, as well as so many meditations on meditation. On compassion that can really help one use some practices. So she also has a 3-part series on the book, Radical Compassion, which we're going to have linked. They're about an hour a piece. So I would really encourage you to maybe take time when you would normally listen to a podcast or listen to, a book on tape. If you're listening to something like that, Audible, take the time to listen to her YouTube videos that she has on her website. That would really help give you a deep appreciation for compassion. I know, as we call these deep dives, it's really a quick dive into the deep to really kind of give you some resources to kind of whet your palate, increase your curiosity about what practices of compassion are. So her the information that we have provided for you will really go a lot deeper if you have a lot of time to commit to kind of looking at these resources for compassion. And so some of the gonna just make sure where I am on my notes. Yeah, so hopefully as you move through whatever season you're in, because I know some of you who may be watching this, it's no longer the holiday season. Since this is a library, you may be looking at this at any time of the year, but really looking within yourself about how using compassion can reduce your anxiety, reduce your stress, help increase the lovingness in your relationships. Um, you know, it's really kind of looking for the good instead of using that critical, pointing out all the flaws and all the problems of another person. It's understanding that we all have flaws. And when another person is acting in a way that is upsetting to us, rather than just judging or attacking. Um, it's more leaning in with curiosity, giving that person some grace, saying, maybe that person's having a bad day. I was talking to somebody about doing this discussion, and she's the person I was talking to said something about, road rage and when somebody cuts you off in traffic, how that can make you so angry. And I said, well, if you use compassion in that moment, you see that person cut you off and you say, you extend some grace and gratitude. I'm not sure what that person has going on, but it must be very urgent. And maybe they have somewhere they have to get that is more important than my time of where I have to get. And it's really and I'm intentionally looking for kind of the silver lining of a situation. I know in my own traffic situations, if I'm on my way to the office and traffic's moving slow or I'm stopped at every red light, where it's so easy to get so angry about that. Compassion is really about, okay, having gratitude for being slowed down, for being reminded that rushing creates negative energy. Maybe this spared me being in some traffic accident. It's the looking for whatever goodness you can find in others and in situations, looking for the common humanity and the positive link that we can connect with. Really practicing that kind, mindful presence with ourselves and with others that can really promote healing and nurturing and all the things that are going to help increase our heart energy, love, connection, belongingness, um, and help us not end up separate from, isolated, and in deeper suffering. So, hopefully, this will increase your curiosity to look into some of these resources, perhaps purchase the books or listen to the books we've talked about here tonight with the radical compassion or the self compassion, both Kristen Neff and Tara Brock. You can find a lot of interviews on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast of these two lovely women, as well as many other people who have shared about compassion practices and how to cultivate compassion. And just in closing, in cultivating compassion, gratitude practice can really be helpful with that. So, really being intentional. I know we've talked about looking for the positive, but a gratitude practice can really be one of the best, easiest portals to cultivating some compassion. So, bookending your day with naming some gratitudes, keeping a gratitude journal, closing your day with your gratitudes, and really being as specific as you can about those things at which you are grateful for can really help you begin to look for the good, because we have to understand that if our brains are wired for critical thinking, judging, um, we have to intentionally create new pathways that look for um, the ways in which we agree, that look for the ways in which we're alike. If we know that that survival instinct that we're conditioned to is to kind of tear down, we have to kind of think about what are the ways we lift up, and rather than attacking, how do we lean in with ease and with curiosity and with peace, and really cultivating some of the new pathways that look for the good instead of the bad. And so gratitude practice can really be a way in which to do that. And the opposite thinking, I mean, instead of the first thing you want to do to be able to say, what is the thing I would have to say negative about, let's say, this restaurant experience? It's like, how do I first name the good? Um, so I began to train myself to look for the good about any experience. So, um, thank you for being here this evening to talk about compassion. And if any of you have questions, we'll stick around after for question and answer. Those of you who are here tonight, appreciate your time with me in talking about compassion and cultivating compassion, and hope you all help yourself be kinder to you, and hope you bring that kind heart with you as you face others along your journey and extend compassion outward. So, thank you and good night.